What's up, nerds and gamers from all walks of life? Just in case you didn't know, my name's Justin and welcome to my channel, Just In Case Gaming. Today is a blast from the past. We're going retro and taking a look at the D&D Icons of the Realms Classic Creatures box set. Inside this box, you'll find a plethora of nasty creatures that are redesigned and reimagined. The set retails for $79.99 online, and if you can find it, wow, you have got a real treasure on your hands. So let's take a look and see how good WizKids did with reimagining some of our favorite monsters. Let's just jump.
And welcome back to the wooden table. Yes, here's a little wood ASMR for you guys. No, today we're not going to be using the wooden table. I took the liberty of taking some of your comments to heart and got a white board for us to review these miniatures on. So let's just dive right into it. And the first miniature that we have was actually a promotional miniature for this set. This is a smaller Demogorgon. And as you can see, he has a lot of really nice detail, like his fur that comes into his scales. You can see some of the little suction cups that go along each one of his tendrils. And he has those back tail tendrils that come out as well. And he has the really nice looking baboon face. They got a lot of really nice detail in this smaller version of Demogorgon. I guess you could actually use this as an aspect of Demogorgon if you wanted to. You can even see all these little spines that come down his backside. Yeah, this is Demogorgon 10 of 10. It's a really nice miniature. Next up, we have, I'm probably gonna butcher these guys' names, but these are almost like merfolk. You could use it as a merfolk, you could use it as a triton if you wanted to. This is actually called a Sahuagin? 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 I don't know, I probably butchered that name. Let me know in the comments down below. I like the scaling that you can see. You can see each individual scale along his body, in his arms and in his legs. He has this really mean looking face. You can see his teeth detailing. He has that crest fin that goes above his head. He has this wicked looking what would you call that? Trident? Bident? I guess it would be a bident since it doesn't have 3 of those spikes that are coming out. Doesn't really seem like it's gonna break too much. There wasn't a lot of bending on this miniature. He has what I would assume to be some kind of shells, or maybe down here, maybe that's a tooth that is adorning his loincloth there. Got some nice musculature up in the chest. I like the teal color that is going through the mini. And he has these subtle, you can't really tell on camera very much, but he has these subtle washes that go right over the body that really stand out. And that was 4 of 10 on that figure. And here's the next Sahuagin. Now, this guy has a little bit of the droopy trident. There's a trident. He doesn't really have the menacing looking face, but this is actually a much more combat ready version. He also has this little satchel that's going across his chest. These two look like they came straight out of the very first monster manual, but they have that redesign, which is the whole point of this miniature set. It's like the old school set has jumped into modern times. Just a reimagining, but keeping that same classic style. I like the steely look of the harpoon and the trident. The harpoon actually looks very weathered, if you can see that detailing on there. I'm not really a fan of the face on this one. There's not a lot of expression in this particular one, but he still has those defined scales that go down his legs. Not too much on the arms though, surprisingly, on this figure. But again, this could be used as a merfolk. You could use these guys as merfolks or tritons or anything of the like that you wish to. And next, we go from Sahuagin to old school orcs. That's right, for those of you that don't know, orcs used to be, they used to look much like pigs. They had a very pig-like quality to them. And this one has all kinds of armor on him. He has this shoulder plate that seems like it's seen some battle. It's got some nice shine on it. The pike, I mean, it's just a standard looking pike. A little bit of droopage, and that can be fixed in hot water. I like the helmet that he has. It's very old school looking. This guy just jumped right off the page. Now look at that shield. That shield is really detailed. You can see each and every crack of the wood that's going right into the steel. And then there's his backside. And you can see all of the leather straps that are going across him. The pants look nice on this miniature. He seems to have some battle damage a little bit, or maybe just weathering on the pants that's going down there. You can see some tusks right there on his mouth, right on the snout there. And there's the other side. Alright, next up, we have the second of the orcs here. That's orc 2 of 10. And this is actually a really nice orc miniature because it's one of the few orc minis that I've seen that actually has a bow and arrow. I've not seen very many orc miniatures that have a bow and arrow, so this one's actually a really nice figure to have. And there's his quiver with those silver tipped arrows that are coming out of this, the top right there. That looks really nice. The pants on this guy are a little bit more detailed than the other one. He has a couple more pieces of armor that are lining it. I like the buckles that they did right there on his pants. The only thing that I don't like about archer poses is you can't see really the other side of the face. But that's he's getting ready to shoot out an arrow at one of his enemies. It's got a really nice face sculpt right there. I mean, pretty simple and plain, but it sure gets the point across that he's angry and he is ready to fight. Maybe you could do like a cool Robin Hood old school orc character with this guy. All right, and actually I wanted to do a quick little tidbit. I got this, this is a werebore miniature that WizKids made, and as you can see, if you wanted to do a war band of these old school orcs, you could actually pick up some of these werebores and they would fit right into the crew. That would, I mean, they look like they come from the same family. There's Uncle Jim Bob, and there's Billy Bob right there. You gonna go kill some humans, ain't that right, Billy Bob? So, next up, we have some of the larger figures in the set, because it actually came with these 4 medium-sized miniatures, and then you got the I'm gonna call it the aspect of Demogorgon miniature along with those. So you get 5 of the medium size, or if you can't get a hold of this guy, the one that you pick up online, if you don't actually find him, then you just get these 4 right here. But next up, we have one of the scarier looking minis in the set. This is a troll. This is the old school troll. Very emaciated. You can see the fangs in his mouth. There's that long nose and this nappy looking hair that's coming off of his head. He's got these sharp talons. I love the paint detail that they were able to get, where you get these lighter greens into almost these yellows that are on his warts. And then you have the darker green that's going into his body as well. Looks like he just came out of the swamp. Or maybe he was sitting around looking like a tree. He has no butt. Got the flat butt. But look at the paint details that they were actually able to get with these greens and yellows and this darker pale green color. It looks really gross. It looks really nasty. You can see they did a great job with the rib cage. Right there. And I love all of the just subtle details with the warts and everything that are going throughout. Now, I have varied opinions on the different looks of trolls over the years. I don't like my trolls to be too buff, but I also don't like them to be too skinny. But I am a fan of this design just because of how creepy it is. You could think of some really cool plot lines with this miniature. And here's how big he is compared to the orc mini from earlier. He's not the tallest troll, but certainly gets the job done. If you're lacking a troll miniature or you just want a little blast from the past. Now, here's one of my favorite minis from this set, just because they're one of my favorite Dungeons and Dragons monsters. This is the owl bear, the old school owl bear. Look at this guy. He is pretty terrifying. You can see each and every single feather that they molded into this miniature coming down into that long tail. Very different from the owlbears in 5th edition. But I love these, like, if my camera would focus, these scales that they did along this rib cage fold, and how he has almost this kind of like turkey neck detail right there. Almost this esophageal sac You can see the tiny teeth that they were able to get into the mold inside the beak right there with his tongue sticking out. These white, dead-looking eyes. Or maybe they're gleaming off of your torchlight in the caverns. I love the autumnal look of this miniature. It just reminds me of like fall, with those browns and the getting into those almost red, kind of like a mahogany type of brown. And then you have, I mean, tell me that does not look like it just jumped right off of the original monster manual, but it is a miniature that's in your hand now and made to look just a tad different for the modern age today. I like these spinal ridges. My camera would focus in. I like how the face sculpt almost looks skull-like. That's really neat. And of course, size comparison. There's the owlbear next to the orc mini. Just because this orc mini is a very standard, almost human size miniature. And then here is the owlbear next to the owlbear from the Rusty Dragon Inn Pathfinders set. This is Beaky. There he is, just being towered over by this owlbear. This is my favorite owlbear miniature right now. This is what I like to use as my owlbears. Maybe they're just a bit bigger in my realm, but I mean, who doesn't love that sculpt? That's awesome. Okay, next up, this is the Oni Ogre Mage. So there's the Ogre Mage, looking like a Japanese Oni demon. This is an impressive miniature. The camera isn't really doing it justice, but those fangs in the face sculpt that they were able to get, his sunken in eyes. There's that horn on the top of his head. I love what they did with the cloth work within the fabrics. It looks really nice. You have that almost this maroon-like purplish red with this mustard yellow belt. These are not really, this piece doesn't really move too much. I love what they did with the leg plating, the leg armor. That is really nice looking. They were almost able to get these graded edges into the front part of that leg plate. Nothing too much to write home about with his javelin here, or whatever you would call this, some kind of halberd. I like the leather straps that they were able to get over the shoulder, right up into his little man ponytail right there, or woman ponytail, we don't know his gender. But I like the back musculature as well. And this guy is really, he's a really big mini. He's a large as well. Really imposing, ready to cast some spells and impale some people with that javelin right there. All right. Next miniature, we had baby Demogorgon. Now we have Daddy Demogorgon. Look at that. If you've never been able to get your hands on a Demogorgon miniature and you want just a little bit of original Dungeons & Dragons flair, and you're not able to get your hands on maybe one of those Gale Force 9 gargantuan-sized Demogorgon minis, because let's face it, that Demogorgon is way bigger than this one. But I like this one. That's the thing. I like this miniature. It's very old school, but I like those slender baboon heads. Those baboon heads look really nice with the more slender look to them. And those jagged teeth that you're getting. His eyes look very menacing with that piercing yellow color. They were able to get the baboon look really, really well done on the head. You have those wrinkles in the face with the red nose coming down into his little tufts of beard hair. You have this, the color of it as a miniature in real life, it looks more like a mustardy yellow on the camera, this fur, but it's more like a hay color. It looks more like hay. It's kind of like a light brown. I like the plated skin that they were able to get on his neck and down into his legs. These big old chicken legs with these are sharp right here. These kneecaps, really sharp. He has these massive tails that are coming up into these blade-like tips on his tail. You have the spinal ridge coming down with those spikes coming up again. And then look at how gross his tentacles look. We have these suction cups almost. Look like suction cups on the underside. Now this could be a campaign's penultimate boss in and of itself. This is a huge size miniature, and he actually dwarfs other minis pretty well. You could wrap him around him, wrap one of your characters around him, one of his tentacles if you wanted to. This is a gorgeous sculpt and miniature. And again, you could use the aspect of Demogorgon as something that your player characters fight in their earlier levels before they fight the big bad down there. And then last but not least, we have the gargantuan miniature of this set, but I actually chose to keep him off of his gargantuan size base. But this is the gargantuan purple worm, done in that original art style. These rows of almost like a leech-like looking teeth into that gaping maw. You have those big old bug eyes, and just look at the detailing that they were able to get throughout the entire worm. I like these pinks and lighter purples and these dark purples that are just fading in together. Nice dry brushing throughout the miniature. I love what they did with the boils and warts that are on there, just making them look absolutely disgusting. Coming into the face, you have these veins that are going throughout his face sculpt. He is ready to eat your entire party. And then I love what they did with the base. This base is just a bunch of splintered rocks, like he just burst right out of the ground. And this is a hefty miniature. This is a chunky boy. Just look at that. Look at that. Just popping right out of the ground. You put this on some warlock tiles or dwarven forge terrain, it's gonna look amazing. Like it just popped right out. Here he is next to the orc miniature. As you can see, it leaves a little bit to the imagination too, like how big is the rest of this worm? How gargantuan is he truly? You could maybe even fix up the stat block on this guy and make it a colossal purple worm if you wanted to. But that is each one of the classic creatures miniatures from the D&D Icons of the Realms Classic Creatures box set. let's go ahead and take a look at them on some terrain. So my final take on this set is that it gives a wide variety and a breath of new life into some of those classic creatures. I know that we have our 5e designs and everything, but I mean, just taking a look at some of these creatures in their semi-natural state when they were first invented and seeing them on the gaming table in their new forms, I mean, that is, it's nostalgic, but also it's a new take on these miniatures, and I think it's a fantastic addition to our growing miniature collection. You got a lot of different sizes, from your mediums all the way up into the gargantuan sized purple worm there. Fantastic sculpts and paint jobs, and honestly, if you're needing a figure like a purple worm or a Demogorgon, you get two. You get the two Demogorgons and you get the purple worm in this set. I think it's a really great bang for your buck. If you've been looking at this set and you've been hesitant or you didn't know about it, my take is pick it up. This will go great with your miniatures collection. As you can see here, they're going really well with the Mythic Odysseys of Theros minis. Fantastic collection.
So gamers, that wraps up my review and take on the Classic Creatures box set. D&D Icons of the Realms has given us a nostalgic blast from the past. From the purple worm to the Demogorgon, which one will you find deep down in the caves? Thank you very much for listening to what I have to say. And hey, if you like what you're seeing on this channel, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more content just like this. We have some great things planned, and this channel just keeps growing, and I want you to come along that journey with me. Thank you so much for listening, and hey, stay safe out there, be nerdy, and I'll see you in the next video.